Hey guys, Matthew Rodella here with another tutorial for TechSite Builder. This tutorial is going to follow in line with the recent tutorials we've been doing about how to use the page builder to take over the different pages that have come kind of built from the beginning of TechSite Builder that were not very builder friendly, and you weren't able to update a lot of the features. So we talked about the home page, how to turn that into a page builder page. We talked about the blog page, how to turn that into a page builder page. And now we're going to talk about the services page. That's another page in TechSite Builder that's kind of stuck. And using this tutorial, you'll be able to transform your services page into something that's a lot more flexible. With this tutorial, by the end of the tutorial, you'll know how to not only create a new services page where you can change a lot of the functionality of it and the way it looks and the way it behaves, but you'll also be able to create multiple services pages. So say you wanted a services page for residential services and you wanted a separate page that lists your business services, you can do that with this this technique I'm going to show you now. So let's jump into it. So the first thing we're going to do is go to Pages and add a new page. First thing we want to do, most of the time with a page builder page, it makes it a lot easier if we choose from the template drop down here under page attributes and we choose full width. That'll give us the entire browser width to use for the page. And then I'm going to call it, for the purposes of this tutorial, new services page. And then I'm going to click the page builder. All right, and now we are in the page builder, and now under the layout templates, you'll notice there's a new layout template called services. We're going to choose that one. And that is going to load up a template with the services that looks a lot very similar to the current services page, except now we actually have some control over it. And you'll notice it's loaded up in the page builder interface. So if I hover over, I get some of the editing buttons from the page builder. So what we're using is one of the page builder modules in this template. It's called Posts. It's the Posts module, I believe, is what it's called. And it basically displays certain types of posts. In this case, it's not displaying blog posts, it's displaying the services. And these should be all of the services that you have listed. So these are the services on Jiffy PC website. Now, let's go ahead and talk about some of the things that we can now customize. So I'm going to hover over the services boxes here and click the wrench icon. That'll take me to the settings, the post settings here, and I got some options that I can play around with now. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but I will highlight some of the ones that I think might be most useful for you. So the first thing is scrolling down here. We have some options for how the post boxes here are going to look. How many columns do we want to show? The default is 3. The spacing between the post boxes, etc., etc. All that stuff, you could play around with it if you want to. Here we have some options for the featured image. Now keep in mind, with this new services template in the page builder, we do not have the ability to show the icons like we did before. So it will be showing the images, the featured image that you've attached to the services page. And if you don't have a featured image attached, then you won't see an image. It'll just be the title and the text. Even if you have assigned an icon to the service, particular service, that icon will not show up. Unfortunately, we're not able to do that with the page builder. But so that just means you'll need to find some images to associate and attach with your services if you haven't done so. And then once you do that, now you can have some options here for the featured image. You can show or hide it. So maybe if you don't have time to look for images for your services, you can just hide the images and just have boxes with text. Otherwise, we can show the images and that'll bring those images back. We can say what position we want the image to be, whether we want it above the title, which is default, or above the content, which will put it, as you can see now, it's below the title. So if that's a look you want, you can do that. And keep in mind, all of these settings are affecting all of the boxes at once, not just one particular box. Just keep that in mind. I'll move the image back up above the title. You can change the image size, but I wouldn't mess with that because the image size is made to fit perfectly within these boxes. And then you can also set up the image spacing, how far it's spaced from the title below. Some other things that we can do is scroll down here to the bottom under content, where it says the more link, which is actually this read more button here. We can change what it says. So instead of read more, we can have it say maybe something like learn more, if that's what you want it to say, or whatever. So that's where you can change the text that shows up in the button there. You can also choose to show this content or hide it, and if you show it, how many words it's going to be. So you can maybe make it a little bit less if you want it to just be 20 words. That will shrink the size of the content there to 20 words. But we'll just kind of leave it as the default. Another thing you can do is go to the Style tab here at the top in the Post Settings box, and here's where you can change a lot of the way the colors of the title, the content here, and the link, which is considered this button. You can change the colors, the font sizes for some of these things. So just a few options there under Style. You can also give the post background, which is the box here. You can give it a background color, or you can give it a border. If you want a different colored border around the boxes, you can do that. You can play around with that. Under content, there's some very important things under content. This is probably the most important part of this entire tutorial. This is first of all, one of the things you can do under content is change the order. So before, the posts were ordered by date, and that was the only way you could change the order that the services are showing in, is by changing the date that you publish them on. But now you have some other options to order by. Things, author and comment count probably don't apply here, but you can order by the date it was modified, the ID number. When you create a new service, it's given an ID in the background. So basically the ID is created each time you create a new service. So the more recent service you create probably has a higher ID than the previous services. So that's something you can order it by. You can also order it by the title. So if you want the services to be listed in alphabetical order, you can do that, or you can just have it be random. So every time someone loads the page, the services are going to be displayed in a different order. So that's something you can try out if you maybe don't want a certain service to be higher on the list than another service. You can kind of randomize it that way. So some other options there that you can choose to order your posts, your service posts. Offset, if you hover over the question mark, is basically it's going to skip a certain amount of services and then start on the service you select. So if I offset by 2, that means it's going to start showing only the second service that I've created. So right now it's only going to show, looks like 4, because it's skipping the first 2. Normally you just want that 0, but that's something you can play around with if you want to skip certain services. Now here's probably the coolest part of this entire thing, and that's the filter. So you would use the filter if you wanted to create different services pages. So for example, if I wanted this particular page to only show my business services, and let me save that and close out of that for a second. Let me decide what my business services are going to be. So the small business plans will be one, maintenance plans will be another one, and backup service. So backup service, small business, and maintenance plans are going to be my business services. The other ones are not. So what I can do is I can filter to only show the services I want to. And the way that works is I'll go to content, scroll down to filter. I'm going to say I want to show these particular services match the services or do so. Basically what that means is whatever I type here, it's going to show those services. Or if I wanted to say do the opposite, whatever I type here, if I choose do not match, it's whatever I type here is going to not show on the page. So to make it easy, I'm just going to say match these services, and I want to do small business, maintenance, and backup. So what you can do is you can just start typing in the name of the service. So for example, I'll start typing in backup, and then it'll automatically show you a drop down of all of the services that you have that match what you're typing. So it's showing my backup service. I'll choose that. And then the other one was small business. So I'll start typing in small, and then I see from the drop down I can choose small business. And then the final one was maintenance plans. So I'll start typing in maintenance, and there it goes. And you can see in the background it's updating dynamically as I'm making these changes. So you can see exactly what's going to be showing. And you can see now there's only those 3 services showing, and that's it. Then I can save. Now I only have my 3 services, and then I could create a separate services page that will only show those other 3 services. So that's kind of a cool way to have multiple services pages that are only showing particular services. All right, let me jump back and let me undo that filter because there's some other things I want to show, and I want to have all of my services showing. All right, so I undid that filter. Now all of my services are there in the background. The next page is pagination. So what this means is you can, if you have a lot of services, and I know some of you guys have dozens of services listed on your services page, it can start to be a long page. And if you don't want it to be such a long page, you can cut it off at a certain number. So since I only have 6 services showing here, I'm going to cut it off after 3. So for the posts per page, I'm going to type in the number 3. Now it's only going to show the first 3. And then the pagination style is numbers. So you can see here now, I have numbers showing here to go to the next page of services. So it's going to cut it off at 3. If I were to click on 2, then it would show the next 3, and so on and so forth. There's a couple other pagination styles, including scroll or no pagination style, and you can play around with that. Also, you can type in the message that's going to show if you don't have any services showing on that particular page. And then if there's no services showing, then you can choose to show a search bar so that people can search for the page they're looking for. And then, of course, you have the typical advanced settings, where you can set more margins and play around with the responsive layout. If that's something that you want, these are more advanced options. So I can save my changes, and then when I'm done, I click Done in the upper right, choose Publish Changes. Now I have this new services page with my paginated services. So I can click the next and previous to see all of my services. Of course, you wouldn't do this if you only had 6 services, but if you have, dozens of services, then you might want to break them up into different pages. And that happens automatically with the pagination. So now the final thing I need to do, as always, is to go back to my menu in the dashboard under menus. And then I want to add that new services page to my menu structure. So I'll check the box, click Add to Menu. Now my new services page is there. I can rename it to something. Maybe this was my business services page, so I can call it Business Services. And then maybe I put that as a drop down under my regular services, however you want to do it. Then I'll click Save. Now I go to my website. Under services, I now have business services. I click on that, and there is the new services page with the Learn More buttons and everything, the pagination, everything the way I set it up. So there you go. That's how you can set up your services page and customize it a lot more. Create multiple services pages if you want, and just have some fun with it, get creative with it, and I'd love to see what you do. So always, as always, leave a comment under this video or shoot me an email. Let me know what you've done with the new services page builder option. And thanks guys, we'll see you in the next video. Here's to your success.